friends. My name is Sam Bucciarelli with the Philadelphia Mycology Club. That's me down there in the bottom left corner. Our club studies the biodiversity and ecological roles of the macrofungi in the greater Philadelphia area. We organize hikes, events, and workshops year-round to get our members excited about the many benefits of our fungal friends. Today, I will be talking a little bit about the kingdom of fungi, identifying characteristics of fungi, and how to become an amateur mycologist and citizen scientist. So let's begin by talking a little bit about the kingdom of fungi. Fungi are heterotrophic. They cannot photosynthesize to produce their own food like plants. They must take in nutrition from outside sources. They need to consume organic matter or substrate to survive. Fungi are more closely related to animals than they are to plants on the tree of evolution. Some fungi exhibit bioluminescence or fluorescence, like the one you see on the left-hand side of the screen. Fungal species typically outnumber plants in any given location 6 to 1. That includes microfungi, which we cannot see, that live in the soil and help out our trees. An Armillaria species is the largest living organism on the planet. It's believed to be about 2,400 years old, covers about 2,000 acres in the Pacific Northwest, and the mushrooms that it produces are there on the left-hand side of the screen again. They're also called honey mushrooms, and they're delicious, edible. We find some species of Armillaria here in the Wissahickon in the fall. So now you may be wondering, what is the difference between a mushroom and a fungus? A mushroom is only the fruiting body of a fungus, made to disperse its spores. The fungus itself is a network of fine filaments called mycelium that usually live in soil or wood. Think of the mushroom as an apple. The mycelium would be the apple tree. Many times the mycelium is underground or inside of the trees and can be almost invisible until finding a mate and producing a mushroom. So now let's talk a little bit about fungal ecology. Many fungi can be found growing on dead and decaying wood. These fungi are saprotrophic and break down that wood over time. They gain nutrients by decomposing plant matter and can become parasitic or even invasive in some forests. Shown here is Ganoderma megaloma, or the artist's conch, decomposing a large oak tree. Another type of fungi are mycorrhizal fungi, and they gain nutrients through their symbiotic relationships with plants. The fungus provides water and lipids to their plant partners in exchange for sugars that the fungus cannot produce through photosynthesis. It's estimated that 85% of trees and woody plants need to form mycorrhizal relationships in order to grow. Now let's talk about the basic morphology of mushrooms. Mushrooms produce spores on a surface called the hymenium, which can take various forms. All of these allow for spore dispersal. Pores and tubes are small holes that release spores. Gills are slits on the underside that release spores. And teeth allow spores to fall from the spaces in between each tooth. So to our right-hand side, we have a graphic depicting some of the parts of a mushroom that you may want to observe if you're looking to identify something that you just found. First, you want to observe the cap or pileus, which is the top of the mushroom, and you want to observe the color and also the texture. So the texture could be cracked or smooth or waxy or warted, and you want to take note of any of those things. You also want to take a look at the hymenium, which again is where the spores are produced. That's your gills, pores, and teeth. You also want to take a look at the margin. That's where the cap meets the hymenium, the edge of the mushroom. And you want to take a look at whether or not that's curled under or curled upward, or maybe it's dripping with ink. You want to take a look at the spore color. That's a good identifying feature. And then if you're looking to get into advanced identification, you can take a look at the spores under a microscope. Each individual mushroom has a unique spore shape and color. You also want to take a look at whether or not the mushroom has a ring or annulus. Those are leftovers from the partial veil that covered the hymenium before the spores matured. Not all mushrooms will have a ring or annulus, but this is a good identifying feature whether it's present or absent. You also want to take a look at the stipe of the mushroom and its texture and color, whether or not it's firm or brittle. Those are important features. Certain mushrooms, you'll want to take a look at something called the vulva, which is at the bottom. You kind of have to dig it up if you're looking for amanitas in particular. The shape of the vulva, the texture of the vulva are things that you would want to observe. Also, its absence or presence. Not all mushrooms will have a vulva. And then you may also want to take a look at any mycelium that you see after you've picked the mushroom. You want to take a note of its color, if it's any color other than white, maybe. And again, not all of these features are present on every mushroom you find. So just take note of what features are there and which features are absent. So we talked about those pores, gills, and teeth. Let's talk about some alternative methods of spore dispersal that you may encounter in the forest. Crust fungi form directly on a surface, usually wood, and form recipient crust-like fruits that release their spores outward. Coral mushrooms disperse spores from the ends of their fronds. Stinkhorn mushrooms produce unpleasant odors that attract flies that spread the spores to new locations. Splash cup fungi, or bird's nest fungi as they're commonly called, release spores when raindrops splash into their tiny cups. Puffball fungi release spores by puffing in the wind when they mature. Now let's talk a little bit about lichen. Lichens are fungi that have formed symbiotic relationships with algae and cyanobacteria in order to produce their own food via photosynthesis. Each individual lichen is its whole own ecosystem. Unlike mushrooms, lichens remain visible year-round and don't need to digest outside materials because they can photosynthesize. Lichen on trees are not harming the trees, just looking for a space high up to absorb lots and lots of sunlight. I think we should talk a little bit about slime molds. Slime molds are not fungi, though they are studied by mycologists. They are actually in the kingdom Protista. Like fungi, slime molds are also heterotrophic and reproduce by dispersing spores. They are often unicellular, but able to move around to find food. And they digest their food by secreting enzymes and then absorbing the nutrients externally. They come in many shapes and sizes and colors. You can see a few of them depicted here. Let's talk about when, where, and how you can find mushrooms. Mushrooms can be found in forests, grassy areas, mulch beds, and even your potted plants. You're most likely to find them after a good long rain in places with mature trees or lots of decaying wood. Some useful items you may want to take mushroom hunting with you would be appropriate hiking attire and gear. That means weather-appropriate clothing, bug spray, hiking poles, boots, anything you want to wear for a good long hike, and of course some nice snacks as long as you carry your trash out with you. And if you're the type of person who wants to take pictures, you may also want to bring a camera with you because mushrooms are extremely photogenic. Whether your interests in mycology are about edibility or medicinal value or just ecology, it's important to get a successful identification on each mushroom you observe. So I want to talk about some tips to take photos for successful identification. First, you want to note your geographical location and the environment that you've found the mushroom in. So take a few steps back and note what kind of trees are nearby, whether or not there's a stream flowing through, which direction you're facing, and maybe what the altitude is in certain places. And then you would also want to note where you are in the world. So for us, that's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States of America. You also want to take a picture of the mushroom before you pick it, in situ, where it grew, and you want to note what substrate it was growing from. So that could be leaves, or the ground, or a decaying. You also want to be sure to remove all parts of the base of the mushroom intact. Some of the features might be buried, and they're still important for the ID on the mushroom. This is particularly important for the genus Amanita mushrooms, because they have what is called a vulva at the base of the stem. It's what's left of the universal veil from when it was just a little tiny button, and that's an important identifying factor for Amanita mushrooms. You also want to include clear pictures of the cap of the mushroom and the hymenium. That's where the spores are produced. That's your gills, pores, and teeth. You want to take note of any bruising or color changing that the mushroom undergoes when it's damaged. Often a cross section is helpful for this. Here we have a bolete being shown turning blue, and that's a common identifying feature for boletes. You also will want to take note of the spore color. This is really helpful for identifying mushrooms, and it can sometimes be found on the remnants of the partial veil, or if the caps of a cluster of mushrooms are overlapping, you can sometimes see spores that have dropped on top of one of the caps. Some other things you may want to take note of: certain mushrooms will smell very fragrantly, so you want to take note of any distinct smells that a mushroom might have. Many mycologists also use a tool called the spit test. You can actually taste, chew, and then spit out any mushroom at all, even the deadly ones. Sometimes taste can be a powerful tool in determining edibility. Even deadly poisonous mushrooms would have to be swallowed and digested to cause ill effects. So long as you spit the mushroom after tasting, you will be totally healthy and ready to continue your normal life. So now I want to talk about some resources that amateur mycologists can use to get a little more familiar with our fungal friends. I first want to talk about the iNaturalist app, which is a super useful tool for all naturalists, not just mycologists, because you can take a picture of any specimen found in nature and upload it to this app, which will use artificial intelligence and crowdsourcing to give an identification to your observation. I've been able to get all of my observations identified at least to the genus, which is awesome, and it has been a super useful tool for me personally. The website mushroomobserver.org is based on people making observations and then experts coming to identify what they found. That goes into a data bank, and then those observations can later be used in academic science. The website mushroomexpert.com is like an encyclopedia all about mushrooms. It features lots of really great in-depth descriptions of each individual species and lots of really great photographs. Facebook identification groups have been really helpful to me personally in becoming a better identifier of mushrooms, because social media makes learning fun. So groups like mushroom identification and fungus identification have whole communities who are waiting for someone to post an interesting mushroom for them to identify. Local mycology clubs are a great resource for people who want to get interested and don't know where to start. Here in Philadelphia, we have the Philadelphia Mycology Club, where friends of the Wissahickon found me. Nearby, we have the New Jersey Mycological Association, with a lot of really knowledgeable members who've been very helpful in getting the Philadelphia Mycology Club off the ground. I also really recommend the YouTube channel Learn Your Land with Adam Harriton. He's based in Western Pennsylvania, so a lot of his information is localized to our area, and he has a lot of videos with a lot of really great information in it. To the right-hand side of the screen, I recommend these 3 books for our area. Mushrooms of the northeastern United States and northeast Canada is my personal favorite guide. It's the most comprehensive of these three. It has a wide array of genera to point you in the right direction if you don't know what you're looking at. It's arranged by spore color, and it has a lot of really awesome information and great pictures. The book in the bottom right-hand corner, Mushrooms of the Northeast, is a really great beginner book and a great book for children. It does a really great job separating choice edibles and also deadly toxic mushrooms. They each have their own section. And then it also has little symbols in the top of each page that show you what season the mushroom will grow in and also the substrate to help you rule out any lookalikes quickly. North American mushrooms is for all of North America, so it would be good for somebody who really likes to travel and do a lot of adventure hiking. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and thank you to everyone at Friends of the Wissahickon for maintaining our shared backyard and helping to educate future naturalists. A special thanks to George Pushkal, Bethany Teigen, and Alan Rockefeller for letting me use their pictures and helping me put this video together. If you'd like to join the Philadelphia Mycology Club, find us on Facebook or Instagram for our most up-to-date events, or shoot us an email at philomycologyclub@gmail.com. Hope to see you all on the trail soon. Bye!